Welcome back to the Snark side, babes. I am sending out massive, flirty, totally chaotic energy directly to you right now.
Oh, we are fully bringing the chaos tonight.
We really are. Grab your glass, get comfortable, and just let out a huge exhale. You made it through another week, and I am so thrilled to have you sitting here with us.
Truly. Thank you for being here, babes.
And just a quick reminder, if you have a messy friend and you know exactly which friend I am talking about, the one who absolutely lives for the drama, send them this link right now.
You have to. Share the wealth. Share the mess.
Because by day, you know the drill. We are literally drilling teeth. We are responsible, licensed medical professionals.
Dentist by day, baby.
Dentists by day, but by night? Well, by night, we live for reality TV, Bravo, TLC, and just absolute unadulterated chaos.
Exactly. The scrubs are in the laundry. The sterile clinic environment is officially closed.
Thank God.
And let me set the visual scene for you right now because the aesthetic is very important for what we're about to discuss.
So important.
The wine is on deck. It is poured very generously. The faux fur coats are securely draped over our shoulders indoors.
Yes, they are.
And no, we will absolutely not be explaining further. Do not ask questions about the temperature of this room.
Yeah, not ask.
Just accept the chaos. Lean into the delusion. We might make some highly questionable decisions tonight. And frankly, I am entirely at peace with that.
I am so at peace with it because before we even get into the television trauma of the week, we have to talk about the real-life delusion we just walked in from.
Oh my God, here we go.
We literally just got back from our Italian class.
We did. Yes, babes, Italian.
And look, the logic was flawless at the time. You speak fluent French.
I do.
I speak Spanish. So Italian just felt like, the missing piece of the European Romance language trifecta.
It made sense. We thought we were going to expand our minds, be cultured.
Right. But cultured, we are hanging on by a thread.
A literal thread. The pronunciation alone is a phonetic disaster. I am sitting there trying to roll my R's. My tongue is performing unnatural gymnastics.
It's so hard.
I am fairly certain I accidentally ordered a small bedside table instead of a coffee in Italian today.
You probably did. The vowels are relentless, but honestly, the linguistic barrier is not even the real issue here.
No, it's not.
We need to address the actual elephant in the room, which is the complete psychological collapse happening at the desk next to me.
I am spiraling.
You are.
I am completely, totally, irredeemably spiraling about this instructor.
Babes, listen to me. He was hot.
Not just cute, not just conventionally attractive. I mean, offensively, aggressively good-looking.
Offensively?
He was up there conjugating basic verbs, writing on the whiteboard, and the sheer unbridled sexual energy radiating off of him was entirely distracting.
I literally couldn't focus on the past tense of anything.
I am genuinely, and I mean this with my whole chest, considering downloading the dating apps again tonight.
No, stop.
Just because the sheer existence of this man has tricked my brain into believing romance is real.
Okay, let's stop right there. I am shutting this delusion down immediately.
But he's so hot.
Let's analytically break this down. Because you are currently operating under the influence of a very sharp jawline and a European accent.
Very nice jawline.
Getting back into online dating right now, based on the aesthetic of one Italian teacher, is quite possibly the most terrible investment of your time.
Is it, though?
Yes. The ROI on dating apps is completely bankrupt. You are going to swipe for 3 hours, match with a guy who claims his personality is hiking, and The Office.
Ugh, the hiking guys.
Right. And then he is going to ask you to split a $6 coffee while explaining cryptocurrency to you. Is that the reality you want to invite into your life?
But wait, let me push back on that. Isn't the aesthetic of romance a valid thing to chase?
No.
What if there's an Italian stallion hiding in the algorithm? Just one.
There isn't.
If you spend your whole life being practical, going to dental school, paying off student loans, being responsible, don't you eventually just want to gamble on the fantasy?
The algorithm is not designed to deliver a fantasy, bestie. It is designed to keep you swiping. It is an engagement trap.
I know, I know.
We flirted with the idea for a solid 5 minutes in the car ride home. I will give you that.
It was a fun little mental exercise.
But we know better. You are confusing the desire for escapism with the reality of the dating market. The apps are an emotional scam.
You're right. We're investing our energy in much more reliable sources of trauma. Which brings me directly to this wine.
Oh my God, the wine. Yes.
Pivot. Because the glasses we are currently holding are massive.
I'm talking Olivia Pope-sized goblets, babes.
And this specific red blend, And I need to overhype this for a second because it is physically altering my brain chemistry as we speak.
Like so bold.
It's taking the edge off the dental drill vibrations I still feel in my hands from a root canal at 2 p.m. It's basically liquid courage.
We honestly desperately need a corporate sponsor for this wine.
We really do.
Because the sheer volume of it that we are consuming just to psychologically process this week's reality TV chaos is astonishing.
It's medicinal at this point. It is a coping mechanism.
It is absolute medicine. And speaking of things that require preparation, protection, and coping mechanisms, I have an official announcement for the Snark Squad.
Oh, tell me.
The Salem trip is booked.
Yes.
It is fully 100% planned, confirmed, and on the calendar. We are taking this energy to Massachusetts.
And let me just list off the unhinged, deeply witchy prep that has been happening in the background to ensure we survive this trip.
Please do.
Because it's not just booking flights in an Airbnb. It has been late night, multi-hour TikTok rabbit holes watching ghost tours.
So many ghost stories.
It has been the acquisition of a truly ridiculous, financially irresponsible amount of crystals.
Amethyst, black tourmaline, clear quartz.
Our luggage is going to be flagged by the TSA for being suspiciously heavy with literal rocks.
It absolutely is.
We are aggressively manifesting unbothered, protected energy.
We have to. Salem does not play. In fact, I am officially suggesting that we do a full spiritual cleanse before we even set foot on the tarmac.
A full cleanse.
Sage the apartment, take a salt bath, set our intentions. I am completely leaning into the delusion of us becoming amateur witches for this trip.
I want to arrive looking like we belong in a coven.
Ready to ward off bad vibes and toxic men.
I support the delusion entirely. I am packing the tarot cards.
Good.
But the concept of warding off bad vibes and toxic men transitions us perfectly into the actual topic at hand.
Oh, the transition. Flawless.
Because if there's a group of people who desperately needed a spiritual cleanse, a financial advisor, and a psychological intervention, it is the cast of Margo's Got Money Troubles.
Babes, we simply have to talk about episode 5.
We have to get into it. Let's unpack this immediately.
Yeah.
Because Flamingoes just took us out of the familiar, sunny California day-to-day and dropped us right into the artificial neon nightmare of Las Vegas.
And my emotions are absolutely everywhere.
The setup of this whole Vegas trip is so bizarre to me.
Right. Like, Shyanne and Kenny are getting married, which society tells us is supposed to be this joyous, culminating occasion.
Supposed to be.
But it honestly feels like we are attending a funeral for Cheyenne's personality.
It's a literal funeral. She is taking the best, most vibrant parts of herself.
Her humor.
Her sexuality, her edge, putting them in a casket and nailing it shut for a youth minister.
A youth minister. It's tragic.
But let's look at how the showrunners juxtapose that internal death with the visual opening of the episode. We start with this road trip scene.
Yes. Margo and Shyanne are in the convertible. The top is down. The desert wind is whipping through their hair.
It looks so fun.
They are just belting out Belinda Carlisle's Heaven is a Place on Earth. It's such a stunning, beautiful mother-daughter bonding moment.
It really is beautifully shot.
You look at them and you just feel the love and the intense codependency wrapping them up like a warm blanket. For a second, you actually believe they are free.
You believe it because it's a brilliant cinematic misdirection.
Oh, totally.
It was a gorgeous moment, but we have to push back on the reality of that setup because the contrast is actually deeply cynical.
It's so dark when you think about it.
Yeah. They get to play Thelma and Louise in a glamorous convertible. And what do they do with Jinx?
They banish him.
They literally stick Margo's dad, a former addict who is one bad day away from a total spiral, in a separate, sensible, brutally practical 4-door sedan.
To act as an unpaid nanny to baby Bodhi.
It's the ultimate outsourcing of emotional labor. They thrust all the responsibility onto the least responsible person in their ecosystem.
Exactly. And the visual of Jinx driving a sterile sedan, listening to an audiobook of Robert Graves' I, Claudius.
Explaining the complex, incestuous, violent history of the Roman Empire to an infant in a car seat at a gas station.
It is peak television.
But it's not just funny, it's symbolic. Why I, Claudius?
Break it down.
Claudius was the Roman emperor who survived his toxic family by pretending to be a fool. He played dumb, he kept his head down, and he survived the chaos.
Wait, my mind is literally blown right now.
Jinx is doing the exact same thing. He is cosplaying as this harmless, learned, responsible grandfather, suppressing his true nature to survive the toxic dynamic of Cheyenne's impending marriage.
Oh my God, that parallel is incredible. He is playing the fool to survive the empire.
He really is.
And we have to just pause and gush over Nick Offerman's acting in this episode.
A masterclass.
It is an absolute masterclass in nonverbal storytelling. You can literally see his internal anguish, his regret, his entire life flashing before his eyes without him speaking a single word.
There's that moment at the gas station when those motorcycles roar past them.
Yes, he just stares at them. And you can see the gravitational pull of his old life.
The chaos, the freedom, battling with the reality of the sanitized, domesticated role he is trying to force himself into right now.
It is devastating to watch.
It really is. He is essentially white-knuckling his way through sobriety and domesticity.
Barely hanging on.
But speaking of men who are entirely defined by the rules they force themselves to play, Kenny's internal repression isn't just an emotional flaw.
Oh, don't even get me started on Kenny.
It directly manifests as financial abuse the moment they arrive at the hotel. We need to dissect Kenny's absolutely atrocious financial etiquette.
Please, the hotel room situation, I was screaming at my screen.
It was so bad.
I needed to drill a tooth just to release the tension. It was infuriating.
It is the ultimate red flag. And we need to understand the mechanism of what he's doing here.
Walk us through it.
Kenny, the man who is heavily leaning into the aesthetic of being the stable provider for Shyanne, books 2 hotel rooms for the weekend.
2 rooms.
Why?
Yeah.
Because he operates under this rigid Victorian moral framework that dictates he and Shyanne absolutely cannot share a bed before the wedding.
So performative.
So he books 2 rooms for them. And what does he expect Margo, who is a broke, single mother, and Jinx to do?
It makes me sick.
He expects them to pay for their own room. For a wedding weekend, they are only attending to support him and Shyanne.
It is repulsive. I was in absolute shock.
Me too.
But wait, I want to challenge this for a second. Is Kenny actively being malicious here? Or is he just so blinded by his own rigid worldview that he literally doesn't comprehend the financial strain he's causing?
Oh, that's interesting.
Like, if he views Margo's life choices as illegitimate, does he mentally justify not subsidizing her presence?
That is a fascinating question, but I would argue the impact is the same, regardless of the intent.
Sure.
It's a form of performative provision. He wants the aesthetic of being the generous patriarch, the family man, without actually footing the bill.
Exactly. He wants the title without the price tag.
By making Margo pay for her own room, he is establishing a localized, weaponized form of financial control. He is forcing Margo to liquidate her only assets just to exist in his space.
And to liquidate she does. Margo literally has to pull funds from her OnlyFans account right then and there in the lobby just to survive her mother's wedding weekend.
It's insane.
She is transferring digital sex work money on her phone while Kenny stands there looking smug. She is literally subsidizing his prudishness.
Exactly. Kenny's morality is expensive, and he's making the women around him pay for it.
It's so twisted.
And it leads to arguably the best line of the entire episode. Jinx and Margo go up to the desk, and Jinx is forced to ask the clerk for 2 queen beds because of Kenny's absurd arrangements.
Oh, best line ever.
Jinx just glares at the clerk and growls, 2 queens, you fucking sicko.
You died. I literally had to pause the show because I was laughing so hard.
It was so perfectly delivered.
And Margo just smiles and smoothly covers for him, saying, "He's my dad. He's here to watch my baby."
And the desk clerk did not bat an eye.
Which is the most realistic depiction of Las Vegas hospitality ever filmed.
Truly.
But the cringe doesn't stop at the check-in desk, because then we have to endure the matinee magic show.
Oh, the magic show. This was physically painful to watch.
So painful.
But it tells us everything we need to know about Kenny's fragile masculinity.
It really does.
Kenny is so entirely risk-averse that a daytime, heavily air-conditioned magic show is the wildest thing he can handle in Sin City.
The absolute peak of his wild side.
They go see this mid-tier magician named Steve Thunder.
Steve Thunder, you can't make that up.
And Steve Thunder, doing exactly what Vegas crowdwork magicians are paid to do, pulls Kenny and Shyanne up on stage.
Of course he does.
He immediately roasts Kenny for clearly not being as hot as Shyanne, which, let's be honest, is just an objective visual truth.
It's just facts. The man is punching wildly above his weight class, and everyone in the room knows it.
Literally everyone.
But then Steve Thunder does this classic illusion trick where he seemingly poofs Cheyenne's bra out of her shirt and holds it up on stage for the audience to see.
Such a cheesy trick.
Now think about Cheyenne's background. She spent decades working as a Hooters waitress.
Right.
She understands the mechanics of performance labor. She knows how to handle a crowd, how to deflect the male gaze, and how to be a good sport.
She's a pro.
She eats the attention up, she laughs, she plays along perfectly, she diffuses the tension. But
Kenny acts like a massive, petulant baby.
A literal toddler.
He is horribly offended. He acts like Steve Hunter just committed a Geneva Convention violation.
He really does, over a bra trick.
He is so repulsed by the quote-unquote lewdness of the bra trick that he completely shuts down, pouts, and walks off.
It was embarrassing.
Why is this 40-something-year-old man acting like a Victorian maiden who just saw an uncovered ankle?
Right. It's a piece of fabric. He has to be actively consoled.
It's exhausting.
He literally apologizes to Margo and Shyanne multiple times later for the inappropriateness of the event. But why? What is the actual mechanism behind his freakout? Is it just that he's a prude?
No, it's deeper than prudishness. It's about ownership and perception.
Oh, break that down.
Kenny views Shyanne as his hard-earned asset. His entire identity is wrapped up in being the man who saved her from her messy life.
The savior complex.
When the magician holds up the bra, it violently reminds Kenny that Shyanne is a sexual being who has existed in the world and been perceived by other men long before he came along.
Wow.
His fragile masculinity cannot handle his asset being publicly consumed, even as a joke. It shatters his illusion of control.
That makes so much sense. It gave me the absolute worst feeling watching it. It's controlling behavior disguised as moral outrage.
Precisely.
But then, the show brilliantly forces you to empathize with him right after this. They go tie shopping.
The tie shopping scene.
Kenny forgets his wedding tie, and Shyanne is so profoundly annoyed by his sulking at this point that she straight up cancels her manipedi.
She is seizing.
She is over it. So Margo, always forced to be the peacemaker in her family's dynamic, swoops in and saves the day by taking Kenny to Bloomingdale's to find a tie.
And this is where the writing elevates from good to great.
It really does.
Because you want to just hate Kenny for being an annoying, controlling patriarch. But then they place him in the middle of this brightly lit department store and give him this devastating monologue.
Such a good scene.
He starts talking about his life and how he spent his entire existence serving his parents, serving the church, doing exactly what was expected of him by his community.
Right, everything right.
And he describes walking into the store and feeling his future crack open, realizing he almost missed out on having a life of his own.
It honestly broke my heart a little bit. You suddenly see the internal prison he's been living in.
You do.
He's been paying into the system of traditional male sacrifice his entire life, following all the rules, suppressing all his desires, and he feels like he hasn't gotten his payout yet.
That's exactly it.
He looks at Shyanne as his reward for a lifetime of good behavior.
It's the economics of male sacrifice. But while we can empathize with his repression, it also feeds directly into a very specific theory that is taking over the internet right now.
Oh my God, yes. We have to discuss this.
Is Kenny a 40-year-old virgin?
Babes, the evidence is stacking up.
Uh-huh.
And it explains so much of his erratic behavior.
It really does. Think about his intense physical repression.
The way he is so incredibly skittish about physical touch. The fact that he demands separate hotel rooms.
The way he apologizes at length for absolutely everything.
As if merely existing and having human desires is an inherent sin.
And let's not forget the glaring neon red flag at dinner that night.
Oh, the dinner.
Which perfectly illustrates how this repression turns into passive-aggressive control.
The scallops. We have to unpack the scallops.
We must. They are at a nice restaurant for dinner, and Kenny, desperately trying to play the assertive patriarch to compensate for his humiliation at the magic show.
He's spiraling.
Orders for Shyanne without even asking her what she wants.
So disrespectful.
And he doesn't just order a safe, universally acceptable steak or a chicken dish. He orders her the scallops.
Who force feeds their fiancé scallops.
Right. Scallops are a wildly polarizing texture.
They really are. It's not just a bad food choice, it's an aggressive one. But why does he do it?
He uses food as a mechanism of erasure. By ordering the scallops without consulting her, he isn't feeding Shyanne. He is publicly overriding her autonomy to perform the role of the decisive husband for the waiter.
Performing for an audience of one?
It shows he doesn't actually know her preferences at all, but he's playing the role of a husband based on what he thinks a husband does in a 1950s movie.
It's so true.
He is prioritizing his performance of masculinity over her actual comfort.
He is playing a character, and the costume is suffocating Shyanne, which is exactly why I got so incredibly hyped when Shyanne finally snapped and demanded a real bachelorette night.
It was about time.
Kenny goes to sleep at like 8 p.m., naturally, because the man has the circadian rhythm of a toddler.
Literally an infant.
And Shyanne is like, We are going out. Shyanne, Margo, Jinx, and literal baby Bodhi, who they literally hide under Margo's winter coat, sneak out of the sterile, carpeted hotel to go to a filthy, glorious dive bar.
Dragging an infant to a smoky dive bar under a trench coat is objectively terrible parenting, but it is magnificent television.
It was so good.
And the minute they cross the threshold into that bar, the dynamic completely shifts.
Instantly.
The sterile, oppressive energy of Kenny's Vegas disappears, and we enter the primordial soup of their actual trauma.
The primordial soup, yes.
We need to break down the palpable, vibrating sexual tension between Jinx and Shyanne over that pool table.
Babes, it was electric.
It was like watching two predators circle each other. You could cut the chemistry with a knife.
It was so hot. Nick Offerman and Michelle Pfeiffer were acting their absolute faces off.
They are legends.
You just felt the decades of history, the profound regret, the agonizing what-ifs hanging in the air between them. They are in their natural habitat.
They were.
And then Margo gets hit with the messiest, most traumatic realization imaginable.
Poor Margo.
She is standing there holding her baby, watching her parents flirt, and realizes that she was highly likely conceived in the bathroom of this exact dive bar during a 7 minutes in heaven session 20 years ago.
The profound trauma of finding out your origin story is a sticky floor in a Vegas dive bar bathroom.
It's a lot to process.
Incredible. It's generational trauma literally manifesting in the physical space where it began. Yeah. You can see it in their eyes.
Oh, totally.
They clearly both want to go back to that bathroom and add another 7 minutes to the tally right then and there.
The pull is gravitational.
But of course, reality intrudes. Bodhi whimpers from under the coat, instantly shattering the illusion.
Such a buzzkill.
It forces Jinx to actually do the responsible thing, play the grown-up for once in his life, and take the baby back to the hotel.
Which leaves Shyanne and Margo alone to really get into it. And this leads us to the emotional core of the entire episode.
The fight.
The OnlyFans fight. Let's set the scene, because it starts out so incredibly fun.
They were having a blast.
They are getting drunk on massive neon hurricane drinks on the strip. They are eating cheap chicken wings.
Riding in a limo with another bridal party.
Yes. They are wearing ridiculous bachelorette accessories. It's the messy, unhinged, authentic mother-daughter night Shyanne desperately needed.
It's exactly the kind of chaotic, lowbrow bonding Shyanne understands and thrives in. And in the middle of this neon-lit diner, Margo gives her mother the traditional wedding gifts. Something old, something new, something borrowed, something blue.
So sweet.
But the something new is nice.
Yes.
It's really nice. It is suspiciously expensive jewelry.
Right. And Shyanne is not stupid.
Not at all.
She looks at Margo, knowing exactly how much a diaper costs, knowing she is a broke single mom who just paid for her own hotel room, and asks how she afforded it.
The tension was so thick.
And Margo, riding the high of the hurricane drinks, the neon lights, and the bonding, confesses. She finally tells her mom the truth.
She just lets it out.
She tells her that she is doing OnlyFans to make ends meet. And Shyanne goes absolutely ballistic.
The tonal shift in the scene gives you physical whiplash.
I felt it in my living room.
The laughter completely dies.
Yeah.
The neon lights suddenly look harsh instead of fun. Shyanne doesn't just get mad. She recoils in sheer horror.
She does.
He looks at her daughter like she is a literal monster.
I have to defend Margo here because I was yelling at the screen. Margo is taking control of her life. She is.
She has a baby to feed, a roof to keep over their heads, and she is surviving using the only tools she has available in a broken economy.
She's being practical.
She isn't hurting anyone. She is being an entrepreneur. She understands the economics of the digital age.
Right.
But on the flip side, we have to validate Michelle Pfeiffer's breathtaking acting in this scene.
Oh, give her the Emmy.
Because when she screams at Margo, she delivers this devastating line. This is about you giving people everything they need to decide you are a piece of trash.
Oh, my.
The delivery gave me absolute chills.
It was a psychological gut punch. And if we connect this to the broader themes of the show, we really have to analyze the mechanism of this specific argument.
We do.
This isn't just Shyanne being a sudden prude. She isn't magically morally opposed to sex work just because she's marrying a youth minister.
No way.
This is pure, unadulterated trauma projection.
Break that down for us, because I think a lot of people watch that and just think Shyanne is being a hypocrite. She is a hypocrite, but she is a traumatized hypocrite. Think about the economics of Cheyenne's life.
Okay, let's look at it.
She spent her entire youth and adulthood in the service industry, specifically being judged, minimized, and marginalized as a Hooters waitress.
Right.
Society slapped a label on her, decided she was a disposable sex object, and entirely disregarded her intellect, her agency, and her value.
Exactly.
She was an abandoned single mom, struggling to survive, and the world looked down on her. She had no control over the means of production. She was just exploited by a corporation.
Such a good point.
When she looks at Margo doing OnlyFans, she doesn't see digital empowerment or financial literacy. She doesn't see a millennial controlling her own image.
She sees herself.
She sees her own agonizing history repeating itself. She is terrified that Margo is handing the world the exact same ammunition that destroyed Cheyenne's own self-worth.
Wow, that is exactly it. She's
Yeah.
terrified. Margo is making the exact same mistakes, that the world is going to break Margo the exact same way it broke her.
It's heartbreaking.
It's not about the money at all. It's about the vulnerability to society's judgment. It is such a complex, messy, brilliant argument because neither of them is entirely wrong within their own context.
They're both right.
Margo is right for her generation. She is capitalizing on the democratization of the male gaze. And Cheyenne's fear is completely valid based on her lived Gen X experience of exploitation.
Precisely. They are arguing across a generational and economic divide.
They really are.
And it leaves this massive, gaping, bleeding wound right before the actual wedding. Which, by the way, we have to pause and give a massive shout out to the showrunners.
David E. Kelley and Eva Anderson.
We need to talk about the adaptation choices here
Yeah.
because they are fascinating.
Yes, the book versus the show. Because the source material handles this completely differently, right?
Entirely differently. In Rufy Thorpe's original novel, this entire Vegas trip basically happens off-screen.
Oh, wow.
It's a footnote in the narrative. Shyanne goes to Vegas, and Margo wasn't even invited to the wedding because they had this massive falling out beforehand.
That's crazy.
They were entirely estranged for the actual ceremony. So for the TV show to recognize the narrative goldmine of forcing all these characters into a physical pressure cooker in Vegas,
It's genius.
bringing them all together was an absolute masterstroke.
It really was exactly what the story needed. To have Margo actually standing at the wedding after that brutal fight the night before is so powerful.
It adds so much tension.
And the wedding itself, it is so small, so visually cramped, and honestly, so profoundly lonely.
Visually bleak.
It's in this greasy little chapel with a tired Elvis impersonator. Cheyenne is standing there, and you can just tell she's checking a box. She is surrendering.
She really is.
But then she sings Let It Be Me, and it's this incredibly sad, hauntingly beautiful moment. And Margo, despite everything horrific that was said the night before, steps up and gives this beautiful, tear-jerking speech.
She's the bigger person.
She credits her mother for every single strength she possesses. She gives Cheyenne the public validation she so desperately craves.
The juxtaposition during that ceremony is wild, and it highlights the illusion of control we've been talking about.
Walk us through it.
Inside, you have Margo delivering this beautiful olive branch, and Cheyenne actively settling for this safe, sanitized, suffocating life with Kenny. She thinks she's buying safety.
Fake safety.
And outside, you have Jinx.
Oh, Jinx.
He's standing on the sidewalk looking through these greasy glass windows, just openly weeping.
I was crying with him.
He is mourning the life he could have had with Cheyenne, realizing that his own mistakes, his lack of discipline, and his addiction robbed him of the very thing he's watching slip away.
It's so tragic.
Slipping away to a man who doesn't even know Cheyenne likes dive bars.
It destroyed me. Nick Offerman crying outside a Vegas chapel, an Elvis impersonator marries the love of his life to a youth minister as an image burned into my brain forever.
Same.
And then we get the devastating aftermath. The wedding night.
Yikes.
Kenny and Cheyenne go up to the honeymoon suite. And based on what everyone is analyzing online and what my own eyes deduced from the body language,
The vibes were off.
the vibes were extremely, unequivocally bad sex.
Oh, it was visually bleak. The awkwardness, the stiffness, the complete lack of kinetic energy.
It was so uncomfortable to watch.
If the virgin theory holds up, that man was absolutely terrified and overwhelmed by the reality of a physical woman.
He had no idea what to do.
It looked like he either passed out from the anxiety or just completely fumbled the entire event. And the camera lingers on Cheyenne.
She looked so sad.
She is left staring out the window into the neon lights, looking completely hollow and unfulfilled. She bought the traditional stability she wanted, and she immediately realizes the cost.
Looking so lost, she traded her soul for a man who orders her scallops.
Tragic trade.
And while she's looking out the window, trapped in that tower, Margo and Jinx are down below in the parking lot, packing up the practical car.
They're getting out.
They flee Vegas before the sun even comes up. They can't stay a second longer in that environment.
I don't blame them.
And Margo looks up at the hotel, echoing that iconic line from the premiere, "I ruined her so pretty."
Chills. It wraps the entire Vegas saga up with this perfect bow of melancholy and consequence.
It really does.
Which actually transitions us perfectly into our analytical segments for the night. Because underneath all the emotional trauma, this episode is a masterclass in terrible economics.
Oh, it absolutely is. Let's get into it.
It's time for Segment 1. Money talks. But what is it saying?
Ooh, love this game.
Because the financial chaos in this specific group of people is staggering. And I have a question for you and for the listener.
Lay it on me.
Who in this show actually knows how to survive in a capitalist system and who is just faking financial literacy? We see Margo pulling funds to pay for her own hotel bill while Kenny acts like he's the big spender. What is the actual economic mechanism at play here?
Okay, I am going to bat for Margo right now, and I will defend Margo's financial literacy to the absolute death.
Let's hear the defense.
People look at her age, her crop tops, and her situation and assume she's a chaotic mess. But she is the only person in this entire cast living in economic reality.
That's fair.
She is utilizing her available resources. Yes, it's OnlyFans, but it's a legitimate resource to literally keep a roof over her infant's head.
It is a resource.
She is running a digital business. She understands cash flow, she understands her audience, and she understands liquidity.
She really does.
When Kenny pulls his stingy, manipulative nonsense at the hotel check-in, Margo doesn't panic. She assesses the situation, logs into her account, and pulls funds in real time to cover the gap.
Resourceful.
That is survival. That is hustle. She is the CEO of her own life.
You are entirely right. She is operating a high-margin business with zero safety net, and she is succeeding.
Thank you.
Contrast that with Kenny. I need to roast Kenny's economic philosophy for a minute.
Oh, please do. Roast him.
He walks around with the unearned confidence of a stable provider. He represents the traditional patriarchy, the man with the steady W-2 job, the savings account, the moral high ground.
The illusion of the high ground.
Yet what does he actually do with that capital? He nickel and dimes his new stepdaughter.
It's shameful.
He forces a broke single mom to pay for a hotel room she shouldn't even need because he has a weird psychological hang-up about sharing a bed.
Exactly. It's faux stability. It's the illusion of wealth without any of the actual generosity that is supposed to come with it.
It is the weaponization of stability. He hoards his money and then spends it on what? Boring youth minister ties.
Boring ties.
True financial stability in a family unit is supposed to provide a safety net for your dependents. Kenny's money is a tool for control.
Say it louder for the people in the back.
He only spends it on things he explicitly approves of, which forces compliance from Shyanne. Margo's money, however stigmatized, is a tool for liberation and survival.
It is so incredibly true. He is financially weaponizing his prudishness to keep them in line. Which brings us perfectly to my favorite game.
Oh, yes.
It is time for segment 2, Delusion Budget.
My favorite.
We are assigning each of these characters a fake monthly budget based purely on their chaotic energy in this episode. I want us to be as shady, specific, and ridiculous as possible. Walk us through your ledgers.
Gladly. Let's start with Kenny. Looking at his energy, his monthly budget is a depressing spreadsheet of misery.
I can already see the Excel cells.
I am allocating exactly $0 for fun. $0. Fun is a depreciating asset and a sin.
Absolutely no fun allowed.
I am allocating $500 a month strictly for boring earth tone youth minister ties purchased at mid-tier department stores.
Mid-tier. Not even the good stuff.
And crucially, I am allocating $100 a month specifically for ordering scallops for women who did not ask for them.
The forced scallop fund. I'm screaming. It's so accurate. It's a line item for patriarchal microaggressions.
And then we have Shyanne. Cheyenne's budget is a masterclass in psychological compartmentalization.
Well, this should be good.
On paper, she has a joint checking account with Kenny where they buy sensible groceries and bulk toilet paper.
Very suburban.
But in reality, Shyanne has a secret offshore-style account with $5,000 hidden in it.
Yes, she does.
And that money is strictly legally bound to be spent only on blackjack, massive neon hurricane drinks in plastic yards, and emergency penis-shaped bachelorette accessories.
The emergency bachelorette fund is fully liquid. I love it.
Fully liquid.
Okay, my turn. Let's look at Jinx. Jinx's budget is incredibly lean, as befits a man living on the fringes of society. He gets $50 a month.
Generous.
But that $50 is entirely unapologetically spent on two very specific things. Claudius audiobooks on Audible to fuel his Roman Empire dissociation.
That's right.
And premium, highly ergonomic baby papooses. He's investing heavily in infant transportation and ancient political theory, nothing else.
True scholar of the streets, a stoic philosopher with a baby strapped to his chest. And what about Margo?
Okay, I have to shade my girl Margo for a second, even though I just defended her CEO status.
Do it.
Margo's budget is mostly practical diapers, rent, wing lights, Wi-Fi bills, but she has a concerning $200 a month allocated for terrible, visually offensive jewelry.
Oh my God, the jewelry.
Because I have to bring up what the online retap so accurately called out. Margo wore what can only be described as a chunky chrome Christmas bow necklace to her mother's wedding.
It was a hate crime against fashion. It actively detracted from the emotional weight of her speech.
It really was. The dress itself was stunning, absolute perfection, but that necklace...
Tragic.
It looked like she ripped off a hubcap from a 2004 Honda Civic, polished it, and strung it around her neck. I question her accessory budget heavily.
It was a bold choice.
But hey, it's her OnlyFans money. She controls the means of production. She can buy all the chrome car parts she wants.
True. Her capital, her choice. But let's take this analysis out of the bank account and into the heart.
Ooh, transitioning.
It's time for segment 3, romance or red flag investment. Bessie, I want to frame these relationships like we're analyzing terrible financial investments while 3 drinks deep on a night out.
I am so ready.
Are these men worth the emotional capital, or are they guaranteed to bankrupt you?
Let's start with the man of the hour, Kenny. If Kenny is a financial investment, he is a low-yield government treasury bond.
So boring.
He is completely, agonizingly stable. The market is never going to crash on Kenny. He will pay out a consistent 2% return for the rest of your natural life.
Literally 2%.
But he is incredibly, suffocatingly boring. And more importantly, the terms and conditions of a Kenny bond are draconian.
They really are.
They demand that you hide your true self. You cannot have vices. You cannot have a loud personality. You have to pretend the magic show didn't have a bra in it.
You have to eat the scallops.
You have to eat the scallops. Is the meager payout of stability worth that level of self-erasure? Absolutely not. It is a terrible investment for your soul. You are essentially shorting your own personality.
I completely agree. The return on investment is just a slow, quiet misery.
Slow misery.
Now, on the opposite end of the economic spectrum, let's look at Jinx. Jinx is a high-risk meme crypto coin.
He is the Dogecoin of men.
He is the Dogecoin of men. He is insanely passionate. The chemistry is electric. The initial surge of dopamine when you buy in is astronomical.
You feel alive.
You will have the most fun you've ever had in your entire life over a pool table in a dive bar. But because there is zero underlying fundamental value or infrastructure to support his lifestyle, the crash isn't just a possibility, it's a mathematical certainty.
It's guaranteed to crash.
He will inevitably crash your entire portfolio overnight and leave you stranded in that dive bar bathroom holding the bag while he reads about Roman emperors. He is a pump and dump. He is not a long-term hold.
He is a total pump and dump. The volatility is off the chart. So where does that leave Shyanne in this market?
It leaves her making the absolute worst trade of her life. She is panic selling.
She is.
She is trading every single quality she actually enjoys in a partner. The chemistry, the fun, the deep acceptance of her flaws, a shared history, just to buy the quote-unquote stability of the low-yield bond.
It's so sad.
She thinks it's what she's supposed to have at her age. She is confusing financial safety with emotional happiness. It's a tragic, catastrophic miscalculation of her own worth in the marketplace.
It is a tragedy. She's buying at the top of the market for a stock she doesn't even want just to impress society.
Exactly.
Which makes me spiral into absolute delusion because I hate seeing women make bad trades.
It's time for segment 4. If we had the money.
Let's dream big.
Bessie, look at me. If we had unlimited funds in Vegas, if we were literal billionaires rolling into the desert to fix this mess, how would we handle this exact scenario?
Oh, if I had unlimited capital, I am stepping in as a hostile corporate raider and orchestrating the most unhinged, luxurious Vegas trip imaginable to fix this family dynamic.
You'll die him out.
First of all, nobody is staying in separate practical rooms to appease a youth minister. I am renting out the entire top-floor penthouse of the Flamingo.
The whole floor.
We have a private elevator, a private chef, and zero judgment. Second of all, we are not going to a sterile matinee magic show with the general public. No general public allowed.
I am hiring Steve Thunder for a private, highly inappropriate, excessively R-rated magic show in the penthouse, specifically just to watch Kenny sweat through his polo shirt.
Yes. Make him uncomfortable. Force him to confront the female form.
It would be hilarious.
And honestly, if I have Elon Musk money, I am solving the Kenny problem directly through aggressive capital deployment.
Throw money at the problem.
I am pulling Kenny aside in the casino, handing him a silver briefcase with $2 million in unmarked, non-sequential bills, and saying, "This is your hush money.
Take it and run, Kenny.
This is your severance package. Take the next flight back to California, go buy all the earth tone ties you want, and never speak to this woman again."
Bribing the groom to flee the narrative. I love it. A golden parachute for a terrible fiancé.
Exactly. And then with Kenny out of the way, Shyanne and Jinx can have a fully funded, chaotic, 72-hour Vegas romance.
It would be epic.
We give them a blank check. Let them run wild through the casinos. Let them resolve that decades-long sexual tension in the penthouse suite instead of a sticky dive bar bathroom.
That's what they deserve.
Let them get it entirely out of their systems with absolutely zero financial stress. Let them see if the meme coin can actually stabilize if it has institutional backing. That is how you solve the plot, with money.
It would be a beautiful, expensive disaster.
Yeah.
But sadly, they don't have our fictional billions, so they are stuck with their grim reality, and we are stuck watching the fallout.
And drinking our massive wine.
Which brings us to the end of our extensive spiral tonight. But before we go, I want to bring the chaos down for just a second for a final provocative thought.
Oh, let's hear it.
I want you, the listener, to really mull this over until next week. Think about the mechanics of trauma we discussed.
It's heavy.
After that devastating fight in the Neon Diner, will Shyanne ever be able to genuinely respect Margo's hustle on OnlyFans?
That's a huge question.
Or will Cheyenne's own deeply ingrained trauma from being marginalized as a Hooters girl forever blind her to Margo's actual business savvy and autonomy? Can a mother ever truly separate her own painful past from her daughter's radical future?
That is the million-dollar question. Can you heal your own trauma enough to see your child clearly, or will you always project your fears onto them? I don't know the answer.
Me neither.
It is an incredibly heavy one to sit with, but we want to know what you think. Thank you for surviving another week of reality TV mess and prestige drama with us.
We love you guys.
We literally could not do this without you. Please remind yourself to subscribe, leave us a 5-star review. Only 5 stars. Our egos are fragile. Share this conversation with a friend who needs a reality check, and absolutely slide into our DMs.
We want all the mess.
We want to hear your financial delusions, your bad dating app decisions, and your profound thoughts on Kenny's scallop order.
We read every single DM. Thank you for pouring the wine, putting on the faux fur, and hanging out with us. Sign us off with the official mantra.
Still flirty, stay delusional, and we will see you on the Snark side.